Hey everybody, Abe Brown here, the founder of Momentum Coaching and the president of the Certified Coaches Federation. I'm also a proud coach with the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise coaching program. And I'm back here with you today for episode number 2 of September Success, finishing 2019 strong. And I just want to thank all of you for tuning into the first episode. Today's the second episode, and you know what? The feedback so far has been overwhelming. Lots of great comments, tons of shares, and of course, all kinds of messages that you've sent me. And I think part of the reason for that is because some of you have actually gone so far as to say, you know, hey, Abe, I'm one of those folks who kind of have given up on 2019. It's already September. Maybe my goals aren't going to happen. Maybe I'm not going to launch into that next level. And thank you for reminding me that there's still 4 months left in 2019. And so we want to spend some time here today talking about the concept of September success. How can you platform and position yourself to finish 2019 strong? And you might say, well, I'll just wait until 2020. Don't wait until 2020, because in these next 4 months, you can accomplish so much so that as you head into 2020, you're going to be ready to kick some ass, okay? And I hope you don't mind me using a little bit of a term there, because I want you to excel and I want you to get to that next level. So in our first episode, we're taking the word success and we're breaking it into 7 principles for how we can finish September strong. We talked about S, which stands for shift your mindset. And so if I'm going to finish 2019 strong, if I'm going to experience success in the month of September, it starts up here. Nothing in your life will change until your mindset shifts. So if you didn't catch that episode, please come on back and watch it so that you get kind of the foundation for this here together. Now we're going to go on here today and we're going to take the U, and the U stands for this. It stands for uncover what is holding you back. Now, if I'm going to have September success and if I'm going to finish 2019 strongly, I have got to uncover what is holding you back. Now, as a life coach and an executive coach, one of the questions that I get asked in my work all the time is this: how can I overcome my fear? Okay, you'll say it again. How can I overcome my fear? Now, the question isn't always framed exactly like that. I mean, sometimes people say, how do I overcome my insecurities? Sometimes they'll say, how do I grow into my authentic self? Sometimes they'll say, how can I not be trapped by the opinions of others? Sometimes they'll say, how can I overcome my fear of rejection, my fear of not being accepted, my fear of being bullied, my fear of being rejected? How can I consistently, this is what they'll say, unleash my best self and not be held back by the intimidation of other people? And how can I not be overly self-conscious? You see, really, all of those questions are things that are holding us back, but if you look at the root of them, they're all rooted in this concept of fear. Now let me say this to you, and I'm going to say it with strength and passion. Here it is. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. I mean, the fear of failure holds many of you back. The fear of success can hold us back. The fear of rejection can hold us back. The fear of inadequacy, not having enough, not being enough, not performing good enough. The fear of commitment can hold you back. The fear of the unknown can hold you back. And you see, I want you to think about, your fear as kind of a river that's holding you back, and everything you want is actually on the other side of that fear. Now, when you look at fear, I kind of think fear gets a bad rap. Yesterday somebody was telling me that, oh, I could never do what you do, and I don't know what we were talking about. I'm not sure if it was, skydiving or whatever it was, but they said I couldn't do that. And how do you get over your fear? Well, one of the things that you got to understand about fear is fear actually serves a purpose for good in your life. And so I don't think it's all about getting rid of fear. I think it's about honoring fear, understanding the place of fear, and having a differentiation between the types of fear. You see, one of the definitions of fear that I love is fear F.E.A.R, and that's false evidence appearing real. I'm going to say that again, false evidence appearing real. And so that tells us that there are two types of fear. Two types. The first type is kind of healthy, rational fear. I mean, if a car is speeding at you your way, guess what? You jump out of the way. Why? Because you're afraid of getting hit by a car. If you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you're looking straight down and somebody pushes you and you're afraid, of course, that's normal. That's a protective mechanism, fear. But then there's the unhealthy, irrational fear. There's the fear that is false evidence appearing real. You know, what would be an example of false evidence? Someone else's opinion of you that describes your value. Someone else's idea of who you are. Someone else judging on you, hating on you, crushing your dreams. That's someone else's opinion, which really, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. But because you might be bound by fear, that false evidence appears real to you. So what we need to think about is how do we overcome fear? Because, FDR said, Franklin Roosevelt, that the only thing we need to fear is fear itself. Now, he wasn't talking about the healthy fear. Of course, the healthy fear is a mechanism to get you to perform at your best and to keep yourself safe. But the unhealthy, irrational fear will wreck your life. It will destroy your dreams. It will handcuff you and trap you so that as you finish 2019, you're hiding behind the fear of failure. You're hiding behind the fear of success. You're hiding behind the fear of rejection. You're hiding behind the fear of other people's opinions. Why? Because it's unhealthy. It's irrational. It's holding you back. So we need to find a way to break free of fear. Get over to the other side so that we can accomplish our goals and our dreams. And so I want to share with you a couple of principles that I've learned, because I got to tell you, folks, if you're wrestling with fear, I get it. I have absolutely been there in my life. There was a time in my life when my anxiety, my fear was so crippling that I was on heavy medication, self-medicating. I was in a place where at times in my life I was so stressed out and paralyzed with migraine headaches I couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. And all of it was rooted in fear and anxiety. And I'm not trying to tell you today I'm perfect, but I'll tell you what, I know what it is to break free of fear. I know what it is to differentiate between the healthy fear and the irrational fear. I don't want you to finish 2019 weakly. I don't want you to finish 2019 without strength. I want you to finish 2019 with strength. So how do you break free of fear? Number one, and all of these, and I'm going to share 5 or 6 of these principles. Number one, they all start with F. If you're going to break free of fear, you've got to face it. In other words, you've got to face your fear head on. I've got to break some news to you here today. Little bit of a headline. It's pretty tough to be called an overcomer if you don't overcome anything, okay? It's pretty tough to be called a conqueror without conquering anything. And I get the fact that fear might be plaguing your life. I get the fact that you might wake up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat and anxiety, because I have been there. I've had night terrors. I've had all of it. But the only way you overcome that fear at some point is by facing it. Do you know that fear is the most devastating emotion on earth, because everything you want is on the other side of fear? So I came to a place in my life where I recognized that fear is a part of the package here on planet Earth. And I can either live trapped by my unhealthy fears, or I can step out and break through by facing it. There are some things in your life you can't avoid. There are some things in your life you've got to face head on. And I want to give you courage today. I want to give you encouragement today and empowerment. You have got this. I see you. I know what you're going through. And I'm telling you, you can do it. Reach out for some help. Reach out for some support. Heck, reach out to me for some prayer, and I'll pray you through some of these things, because I'll tell you what, face it. You got to fight it head on. The second thing that you got to do with your fear, so number one is you got to face it, but the second thing you've got to do is you've got to fight it. So once you look at your fear, by facing it and acknowledging that it's there, the second thing you've got to do is you've got to fight it. Now, what are we talking about when we talk about fear and fighting fear? Listen, it's not about trying to find a way to be completely fearless. That does not exist. When I'm talking about fighting your fear, I'm talking about managing it. I'm talking about making sure that it's not controlling you, but that you've got the upper hand on your fear. I remember when I was back in grade 12, which was just a couple of years ago. I was a late learner, and I remember that I entered into the Snow King and the Snow Queen pageant. I'm not sure what I was thinking at the time. I'm not sure why I did that. I'm happy to announce that I didn't win. And who would want to join a Snow King pageant anyways? But I did, and I went in there, and everyone actually had a talent, There were dancers, there were, there were cheerleaders, there were people who actually had talents, some of them were singers. Me, I said my talent was public speaking. Now, I had never spoken in front of a crowd in my life, but I knew that it was something that I was passionate about. And so I knew also that I was scared to death of getting up in front of this crowd of like 1,000 people. But what did I do? I fought my way through it. I stood up in front of that group of people, as nervous as I was, as terrified as I was. And guess what? I survived. It was an unhealthy, irrational fear that was holding me back. I mean, no one killed me. No one threw any bricks at me. I'm still surviving here today. And yet there was something in my mind that says, if I do this, bad things are going to happen. Listen to me. Not only do you got to face your fears, but you got to fight them. The third thing you've got to do with fear is you've got to faith it. So, number one, face it. Number two, fight it. But number three, faith it. In other words, replace your fear with faith. I'm going to say that again. Replace your fear with faith. Now, what does that mean? Well, listen to me. What is the opposite of fear? If you think about it for a moment, faith is the opposite of fear. Why? Because faith is expectation that something good is going to happen. And fear is expectation that something bad is going to happen. And so I want you to start to think about fear as energy. And if you take that energy of fear, which is expecting something bad is going to happen, and you replace it with faith, which is expectation that something good is going to happen, your life will begin to change because you will replace it with faith, which is positive, as opposed to fear, which is negative. The fourth thing we've got to do, so number one, you got to face it. Number two, you got to fight it. Number three, you got to faith it. Number four, you got to feel it. Okay, now what are we talking about? What do we need to feel? We need to fill our mind and our heart with positive thoughts and positive emotions. Okay, now listen to me. Your mind is like maybe an empty vessel. And listen, if you don't fill it with positive, negative will automatically fill in there. And the reality is that people become what they think about. That's the reality. I mean, you will become what you think about. I will become what I think about. Where the mind goes, the man follows. And so if I want to have a fearless life, then I have to make a deliberate choice to plant in my mind thoughts of positivity, thoughts of faith, thoughts of hope, thoughts of courage, thoughts of confidence. I need to be speaking mantras to myself all day long, not mantras that I suck and I can't do it and her opinion means so much and oh my God, what am I going to do if this person likes me? Screw all that. I need to fill my mind with thoughts that I've got this, that I am capable, that I am whole, that I am strong, that I'm empowered, that I'm on my way to something great right now. Listen to me. There will be people today who do not see you. There will be people today who do not see you in your greatness. They do not see you in your potential. They do not see you for who you are and the value that you add. And I know that hurts, but don't let the opinions of others trap you. Please listen to me. Fill your mind with the positive. Fill your mind with the encouragement. Because if not, you'll finish 2019 small, and that is not your destiny. Your destiny is to finish 2019 big. And the way that you do it, number one, is by breaking free of fear. How do you do that? You've got to face it. You've got to fight it. You've got to faith it. And you've got to feel it. Number five, you've got to follow it. Now you might be saying, follow what? Listen to me. You've got to follow your call. You've got to follow your dream. You've got to follow your goal. You've got to follow your passion. Listen to me. I'm either living here, trapped by fear, hoping that life doesn't discover me, hoping that challenges never, get into my way, or I'm following my call. I'm following my dream. I'm pursuing my passions with all of my heart. I want you to think with me for just a moment about how different a world this would be if Abraham Lincoln hadn't followed his calling, to change the nature of slavery in America, or Martin Luther King Jr. Imagine how different the world would be if these people had not followed their calling. Mother Teresa, Oprah Winfrey, Nelson Mandela. I want you to think about the great women, the great men of history, and how they decided to not be held back by fear, but they decided they were going to follow their calling, no matter what was in front of them, no matter what held them back. I'll tell you what, you can do it too. Follow your calling. That brings me to the last principle for breaking free of fear. Number 1, you got to face it. Number 2, you've got to fight it. Number 3, you've got to faith it. Number 4, you've got to fill it. Fill your mind. Number 5, you've got to follow it. But number 6, folks, is you have got to fear it. How do you overcome fear? You've got to overcome fear by fearing fear itself. Listen to me. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said this in 1933. He said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Now, why did he say that? Because everything you want is on the other side of fear. All of your dreams, all of your hopes, all of your passions for the future, all of your destiny, all of it is on the other side of fear. Let me just tell you this, folks. You've got this. You have got it. You have got it. And so I'm going to bring this to a conclusion. I just want to thank you for tuning in. I know I'm pretty passionate in these videos. I hope you don't mind. I just thought, most of my videos I'm pretty calm, and I just want to unleash this. Why? Because if some of the energy that's in me can somehow, even through this video, get into you, to inspire you, to encourage you, to build you up so that you finish 2019 strongly, that will do my heart a world of good. So, would you do one thing for me? Would you like this video? Would you comment below? Would you share this video? Would you send it out to 100, 500 people who need to hear and see this? And also, of course, the first one, how do we finish 2019 strong through September success? The S stands for what? Shift your mindset. The U stands for uncover what's holding you back. And of course, what's holding us back so many times is fear. Break free of fear. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you for the next episode. Whoa.